them, so.
Pieces in my life go away with you. Forever in my mind, only you. The pieces in my life run away with you. You're my first love. You're my first love.
And good morning, or good afternoon everybody, wherever you may be watching, and welcome to round number 4 of the 2013 Thrustmaster Formula Sim Racing World Trophy. This is the second race of the weekend here, and we're here on the fantastic streets of Monte Carlo for the Monaco Grand Prix. It's myself, Scott Woodward, here in place of the regular commentator we were scheduled to have, but apparently he stayed up watching NASCAR a bit too long, so that's the reason why he can't join us. So alongside me is the man I commentated with, I believe, in the first couple of rounds for the World Series, and also had a fun time commentating with in the Winter Series as well, and the off-season. I've got Mr. Lewis McGlade alongside me. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. NASCAR, really? God, the way the world works.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. Of course, I know a lot of people who look at NASCAR and think, "Oh, it's easy." When you got to do 200 laps at 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, no, I get the difficulty. It's they're long races though.
They are long races. Well, thankfully they're not as long as what we've got here. But anyway. So Sam Jones, our broadcast director, just put in the chat, NASCAR sim leagues are the best. I haven't watched any myself, but I might have to tune in once or twice. Anyway, enough about NASCAR. We're not talking about NASCAR. We're talking about single-seater racing and Grand Prix racing and Formula Sim racing more specifically. So we're here for the World Trophy. We're 3 races in, of course. We come to round 4, and we're located here in Monaco. Of course, it's the Principality in the south of France, and it's here at the wonderful circuit. It's been hosting races since 1929 around these famous streets. And pretty much only 2 things you can associate with Monaco and Monte Carlo, and that's motorsport and money. I think that's the 2 things you can really only...
Big boats.
Absolutely, that ties in with it. Big boats and big fancy shops and things like that, which is always lots of places. And the casino, of course, as well, which we do go past on the part of the circuit, so it's always tempting people to go in there and lose their money. But thankfully, no one's going to be losing anything. Well, I think people think Element's going to be losing. Hopefully not, but... is parts of their bodywork, and we saw plenty of that yesterday in the World Series race. We only had, out of 26 cars that started, we had 10 cars finish, and we were very close to getting a couple more retire on the last couple of laps, but we got another 26 cars here again, after a very, well, I haven't seen it yet, but I presume it was another hectic pre-qualifying session. And now going forwards, whilst we are currently in the end of, I think this is Q1.
Q1, yeah.
We're going we're going to go into, just have a look at the drivers and teams standings going into round 4 here. So top of the table is Marco Zippoli with 110 points. He's not here today, I believe probably due to real life commitments, but I only just found this out before the broadcast myself, that he's a real life racing driver. So I believe he's competing in the Italian Formula 3 Championship this season. I don't know if they're running at all this weekend. But the man who's in second place in the championship is here, and that's Ben Tasting on 83 points. Carlos Martin, not Martin, because that's what we got wrong in the Winter Series, so he's corrected us on that one. Apologies for that, Carlos. It's Martin, not Martin. So Carlos Martin is third with 65 points. Mark Alberts for Go Speed is currently in fourth on 56 points. Miguel Valiant is fifth, or Valiante is fifth on 53 points. Franz Schneider, who was made to a fantastic victory in China last time out, is sixth in the standings with 50 points. Then rounding out the top 10, we've got Johnny Ullman seventh with 48 points. Yorick Beauchevet in 8th with 46 points. Renz Klopp 9th with 45, and Giordano Valeriano in 10th with 42 points. Team standings, and it's Bati Pescara with 144 points. They are 12 points ahead of Go Speed Racing Team, 132. Biocross Positive Sim Racing are third with 92 points. Maxball Racing are 4th with 83, Abusa GP 5th with 81, Positive Sim Racing Junior Team Orange, that's a long name, try and say that fast 5 times,
yep.
is 6th with 74 points. Then Bad T Pescara Trey is 7th with 55 points, and they're rounding out the top 10 of the teams. It's GS Racing with 48, and then both Twister Racing and Positive Sim Racing Junior Team Green, both on 40 points, and they're also tied with Night Racing, but just below them as well. So there's a 3-way tie for 9th. All on 40 points. So I'm not sure if you were watching yesterday in the World Series. I know what happened, but of course, I presume you've also got experience of running a few laps around Monaco yourself. But Monaco it's always a special circuit. It's always classed as the jewel in the Formula 1 in the Grand Prix calendar. It's the one that everyone wants to win. It really is. I think. Would you agree that I made yesterday that as overtaking is practically nigh impossible, it's mainly going to be pit stops and time management and strategy that are going to be the ones that rule the day here in this circuit, purely because of the nature that it's so tight and twisty. Yeah,
the circuit's incredibly difficult to overtake. It really is. Monaco's always an interesting circuit. There's limited opportunity to overtake, and every driver has their corner that they dislike. There is always one corner. I don't like to back. I really can't stand it. I always go wrong around there. But every driver knows like one corner really well. Like there's a corner that they know that they can take faster than most. It's such a complicated circuit from many standpoints. But I think pit stop strategy will be the important thing here.
Well, of course, we're not running as long as the World Series or the World Trophy. Just looking at how many laps are scheduled for today's race, it is in fact 59. And based off, of course, the fact that the tyre wear rates are exactly the same across all 3 series, we've got 59 laps. So, and of course, the tyre rules don't apply where you have to use the compounds in the race, and also starts on the compounds. You set your qualifying time on in Q2 for the top 10 at least. So. We saw yesterday there was some mixing strategies where we had some guys who decided to start the race on the hard, run a couple of stints, and then just do a sprint completely to the end on the soft tyres. And then we had other drivers, particularly drivers like Zoltan Schutte, who started on the softs, and he started just to drive away. But he found, of course, he was continually using the softs to try and pull away, but it meant he had to make more trips to pit lane. So there is always that trade-off between, do you want to go longer in an initial stint and then just sprint to the end, or do you want to try and get yourself near the front in some clear air, bolt those soft tyres on for the first couple of stints and try and gain an advantage so that by the time you do put the harder compound tyres on, you've got more chance of staying ahead, because just the fact that, it's extremely difficult to overtake, and any chance you'll be able to pass anyone is on pit lane.
Yeah, I mean, strategy is always everything and has been proven across the last 3 rounds, and I think there's only really one way to find out, and that is to wait until the race and see how it all unfolds.
Well, we are now into the 5-minute qualifying session, and of course, for those of you who are either watching for the first time or have just forgotten slightly how it works, it's pretty simple. The top 10 have advanced through from that first qualifying session to this second session, and it's 5 minutes long. anyone can go out whenever they like. There's no specific order, but they only get one single flying lap to set their time. And I believe the first man that's going to come across the line and set his time is in the starter lap. I believe is going to be Yorick Beauchevet. So he's now going to head up the hill. He's now being followed by Frank Schneider as well, 6th in the championship.
Oh yeah.
And Beauchevet then hugging the inside wall through Massenet and then just sweeps through Casino Square. Runs over the bump downhill towards Mirabone. A lot of drivers in real life don't actually touch that. And then just slightly wider exit through Mirabone. Full lock completely for the hairpin. Schneider following suit. And Beauchevet then heads it in towards the tunnel here. Like I was saying yesterday, this and probably only the crossover underneath the grandstand in Singapore. There's only 2 circuits that FSR's ever visited where there is a tunnel anywhere, so which makes it pretty unique. Beauchevet speeds down towards the back, because it's your least favourite corner of this, and then down towards the extremely fast chicane section there through the swimming pool. That's personally my favourite section there, because you just carry so much speed in such a very fast, high-speed section. So probably the fastest part of this Monaco street circuit. So Beauchevet then lights up the rears out of Anthony Nova, sprints towards the line, and he's currently up on Valeriano's time. In fact, he's on top of the moment on 1:13.667. Here comes Schneider, and he is down second on a 1:13.798. So he currently is still trying to find some time. Also, we've had third place now is Valeriano, who's managed to set his time. But we've now got Mark Alberts absolutely flying here in the second go speed.
Yeah, Alberts generally pretty fast. The go speeds have been looking fairly good from what I can remember from the last few rounds, although I could be mixing up the many different teams. He goes fastest with a 1:13.482. That's a pretty good lap round here. I do have the timesheets from Q1, and the fastest lap in Q1 was a 1:13.329. So, you know, I don't know if we'll top that, because they would have all been pushing really hard then as well. You know, they'll all be pushing really hard now. So, I think we could see a pretty close qualifying session here.
We've had 6 times come through so far. It's currently Mark Alberts top with a top of the times with both of second. Frank Schneider's third with Marshall Thomas fourth. They've got Campus in fifth and then Valeriano in sixth. They've still got a couple of cars heading out now. On track we've got Renz Klopp. And also I think Valeriano's just getting round as well. We've also got coming through Kevin Siggy is also on his run so far. So let's see if we can maybe have a switch with them, see what's going on with their laps, if we can find them.
Tusting's on a run now. He's going through the Novelle chicane. He's a little bit down through sector 1, but he, you know, setup is important here as well. You know, you may be fast through one sector and not as fast through another. It's all about compromise. But he's 4/10 down now through the last part of the second sector. So let's have a look. Right around the last corner.
Yep. So I carry on.
No, that's right. It's very difficult corner, that last corner, because it's all about threading the needle. He's 6/10 down. He's in 5th place. So that was an okay lap. It was pretty clean. But that last corner, that is pretty difficult, because you have to you have to go right round and then like flick in a left. And it's quite a difficult corner to get right. And considering that the World Series drivers were doing it 78 times, I believe it was, yesterday. So always lovely.
Well, Renz Klopp is heading across the line. He's currently just under 6th down, and he lost a lot more time, more 3/10. He goes to 6th on a 1:14.325. Still got a couple more cars left to finish their laps. Carlos Martin is already 4/10 down the first sector. Here comes Kevin Siggy. Where can he put himself? He goes 4th. Great lap from Siggy there to put himself on a 1:13.940. So now all eyes in the establishment are on Carlos Martin. Martin. Can I get it right? Otherwise, he's gonna nail me for that afterwards. Martin then sweeps it through to the back. And how much time has he lost? So how much does he gain? As he flies through that first part of the swimming pool, he's lost another 3/10 or so. So Martin at the moment will slot himself somewhere, I believe, either in the middle of the top 10 or near the back. He's very committed through Raskas there as well. Just throws it into Anthony Nose. Oh, slightly
bit too wide there.
Bit too wide, and he glanced the outside wall there. Is across the line, and that has hurt him a bit. It's 1:14.364, and he promptly stints the barriers. I think he wasn't too pleased with that one. So we've now got a top 10. Now got a top 10, and it reads as follows. So we now have it's Mark Albert's on pole position then for the World Trophy race this morning, or this afternoon, with Beauchevert second, then Franz Schneider third, Kevin Siggy is fourth, Marshall Thomas fifth, Ben Tusting sixth, Renz Klopp seventh, Carlos Martin is eighth, Campus is ninth, and Valeriano rounding out that top 10. So, what did you make of that qualifying session? Was it, in your experience, what you've seen, usual suspects, or did you see one or two surprises up there which you weren't expecting to levels as high as they did?
I mean, it's always a bit difficult. I think we haven't had. No, I think we've only had a couple of like pole position to wins. I don't think we've actually had maybe one. I think it was in China. We had a pole position that took the win. But here, pole position is absolutely crucial. So Alberts is in pretty much the best state. I don't think Schneider's as happy as he should have been, because I mean his lap time was almost half a second down on what he did in Q1, and that would have given him pole position. So I'm not sure if he's too happy. Ghost Speed though do look in a pretty comfortable position with their cars in 1 and 3, so we could have an interesting race. These some of these World Trophy drivers do try overtaking when everyone says it's impossible. So we may see if we see an overtaking move today, I will be surprised. But you never really know what to expect.
Well, we saw a couple. I'm going to wax lyrical about this in the World Championship broadcast as well, because I'm watching Franz Schneider now. Just the corner he's going through there, which is I'm watching now through, is this section down from Casino all the way through into Mirabeau. Villapala was chasing after Nick Rowland, who we have to say congratulations for finishing 5th, despite apparently what I found out this morning, he was carrying damage on his car since the beginning of the race. So he lasted 78 laps. Oh, as Schneider clips the wall. He lasted 78 laps with a damaged car, pretty much mostly on the left-hand side, and was able to hold off both Lapala and Nagy and force them to make mistakes, which saw them retire. But whilst it was happening, Lapala pulled off what I can only describe was the 2 impossible yet beautiful overtaking moves around the outside of both Casino and then through Mirabeau. It was just absolutely magical, and it's probably one of the best overtaking moves I've seen both in real and sim racing. It was absolutely sensational. Anyway, what we're going to quickly do is, because we are now in warm-up, we're going to have a quick sponsor video, of course, whilst we wait. So until then, please do enjoy this video from our main title sponsor, Thrustmaster, as it promotes their flagship sim racing equipment piece, the excellent T500 RS steering wheel. Back in 2 minutes. And welcome back to Monaco. We're here for round 4 of the 2013 Thrustmaster Formula Sim Racing World Trophy. Scott Woodward and Lewis McGlade in the commentary box for this afternoon's race. Sorry for the slight delay coming back. It was a slight little delay on Sam Jones's parts, but it happens. It happens all the time. It's never be perfect all the time, but nonetheless, we are, I think, a couple of minutes away now from going into the race session. We just do warm up right now, and I don't have to say, looking now towards the race, depending on how qualifying's gone, who would you say are going to be the main players for this afternoon's race, Lewis? Because it looks as though possibly at the moment that Ghost Speed is a collective. They've got 4 of their cars in various guises in the top 10, so they seem to be the ones that, for the moment at least, for this afternoon's World Trophy race, are going to be the favourites to take a victory here this afternoon.
It's very difficult to overtake on Monaco. You know, we've discussed this through the qualifying session, so I don't think you can really count anyone out from the top 4. You know, it's got, well, you've got to, it's those lot. I don't really think, unless, you know, DNFs and, you know, various other, you know, crashes, things like that, I don't see many other people challenging for the win, because it's such a tough circuit. You know, there's so many different corners, so many different bumps. You have to learn everything, and it is incredibly difficult, but incredibly easy to make a mistake and throw it all into the barrier and end it all. So my money would be on anyone in the top 3. So really, it's most likely going to be Ghost Speed taking it away now. But you know, I'm happy to be proven wrong, and so I hope that happens. Not that I don't want anyone from the top 3 to win. It's just, you know, we want to see an interesting race. But I would stay possibly top 3. Anyone from the top 3.
Absolutely, and also the thing about the Monaco always seems to bring a very high attrition rate. So would you be surprised if we managed to get at least half of the field finishing the race this afternoon, or do you think we are going to see a lot of people fall foul to the walls here in Monaco?
That is an extremely good question, considering, you know, some of the driving that we've seen before in World Trophy. I mean, I did the World Series and the World Trophy in Australia. I did the World Trophy in China. You know, some of the racing that we've seen, you know, it's all good. Don't get me wrong, but you know, I think some of the drivers in the World Trophy tend to make mistakes. You know, they're more prone to mistakes, some of them, and so I think I would be surprised if more than half the grid actually finished the race. You know, not to take anything away from the drivers, they're all great drivers, but I mean, how many laps is the race today? What, it's going to be in its 50s.
59, I believe.
59 laps. You know, that's a lot of laps. You know, it's don't get me wrong, it's not 78, but it is a tough race, and for that reason, I would. It is very difficult to state that more than half the grid will finish.
Well, I mean, in terms of the driving standards, I mean, I think for the most part, as you said, I agree. All these guys, they wouldn't be in World Trophy if they didn't have half an ounce of talent, effectively, and they all do. I think it's obviously some of these guys are either they've come into FSR for the first time, or they've had previous racing, either it's their first time ever really properly sim racing, or they come from different leagues. So they're still kind of adjusting, and obviously when you look at this year's calendar, Monaco's round 4, so they've only had effectively 3 races to get themselves all into the groove and everything, and get themselves used to how it works. And I think it is probably just a little bit over enthusiasm, really. I think it's these guys who are they're so eager to try and impress, to try and get themselves up through into World Series and potentially the World Championship. I know not everyone is like that, because some guys are just in the World Trophy just to have a bit of fun and enjoy themselves. But I'm not sure Nick Fisher enjoys that, spinning in sideways on the exit of Rathkaus. But anyway, again, it'll be intriguing to see how many cars we get to the end. But I think, as you both said, if we do get more than half the field, it will be a pleasant surprise, a very pleasant surprise, because, you know, compared to yesterday, I mean, the majority of the World Series drivers are extremely talented. Well, I mean, they all are, but we only had 10 cars finish, so if it can happen in World Series, and we had, was it 3 or 4 cars finish the World Championship race last year, so no series is immune to a high attrition rate in Monaco.
Absolutely none. Not even in real world, racing. In Formula One, things like that, where everyone's talented who's on the grid now, who's on the grid in World Series and World Championship. Everyone here is talented, but no one is immune to crashing out in Monaco. It happens to pretty much everyone. Every wall here is essentially a wall of champions. You can crash into any one of them. Just pick a wall and crash into it, really. It's such a difficult circuit sometimes.
So, as the field lead off for the formation lap, let's take you through the grid very quickly for today's 4th round of the 2013 Thrustmaster Formula Sim Racing World Trophy race. On the pole is Mark Alberts for Go Speed Racing, alongside him Jörg Boschevet in the sister car, the GS Pro Engineering car, in second. Frank Schneider in the second Go Speed car is third, ahead of Kevin Siggy. Great effort for him in the PJG World Trophy machine. Fifth is Marshall Thomas for GS Racing, another Go Speed car. Then Ben Tusting in sixth for Hackball Racing, part of the Twister Racing stable. Seventh is Renz Klopp in the Bad Pescara Corsa machine. Carlos Martin is eighth in the PSR World Trophy car. And ninth is Alessio Campos for Crown 7 Netrex. Rounding up the top 10 is Giordano Valeriano for Butter G Racing, another Twister Racing stable. And then we've got Michael Francesconi in 11th for Bad Pescara at UAE, the main Pescara team. And as I hand over to Lewis for the rest of the grid, 12th is Alessandro Perotti for Crown 7 Netrex Edition, who I believe is also a possibility to race for Brem GP this afternoon in the World Trophy in the World Championship. I did see it on the GP Cost site, but it's still unconfirmed. But he was down as a maybe. And in 13th place in the PJO World Trophy car, it actually looks like he'll start from the pit lane. In fact, is Miguel Valiante.
Oh, interesting. So that means everyone else below them moves up a place. One less car on the grid should hopefully make it better. But behind him is Galliard, then Kiss in 15th, DeCote in 16th, Aslamazian in 17th, Holmes in 18th. I swear he always qualified a bit higher than that. I believe he did in China, because he had a pretty good race in China. Then it's Lopez in 19th, Zekeli in 20th, Basso in 21st, Kaur in 22nd, Fischer in 23rd, Compare in 24th, Went in 25th, and on the last place of the grid, it's a name I would prefer not to pronounce because it is extremely complicated. Radivojevic.
Milan Radivojevic. So that's quite complicated. But what isn't complicated is what's about to happen here. The lights are up. Lights are out, and away we go, Monaco. Great start from Boschevet off the front row of the grid, and he's going to lead into turn 1. Fantastic start from the GS Pro Engineering car. Second is going to be Alberts. Third is also Frank Schneider. Great job from him. So it's GS Go Speed cars first, second, and third up the hill. Siggy's held on to 4th place as they career up the pit hill. Marshall Thomas looks as though he's got himself into 5th. So that's 4 Go Speed cars in the top 5 already as they wind themselves up through Massenet and through Casino for the very first time. Look at the snake downhill. They avoid the bumps and down towards Mirabos they tuck through and into the station hairpin now for the very first time. Now, Vigo Valiant has started from the pit lane, as does I think a couple of other cars. In fact, that's one of the the Monster Energy management for cars too. But into the tunnel for the first time, and what a start from Boschevet. He really got the jump on Alberts there. He leads here on the first lap at Monaco.
That was an incredible start around the outside into town. It was very, very nice, very precise. That is what you want for a start in Monaco, just to then try and run away with it so you don't have to deal with any of this dueling. But interesting start, not too many crashes from what I've seen. And about the people starting in the pit lane, to be honest, I do not blame them. You get out of the crowd. Not that it's a great thing, but, it may avoid you DNFing.
Absolutely, and also, man, he's really jumped up. Is Ben Tusty, in fact. What a start from him. He's up to 6th already. That's a great jump. I didn't expect that at all. Across the line they come then, so it's now going to be it's Boschevet that leads then, from Mark Alberts in 2nd, Frank Schneider is 3rd, Siggy 4th, and Marshall Thomas 5th. As you said, 4 Go Speed stable cars in the top 5, and Tusting is 6th in the Hacksport cars, and Carlos Martin. Also, Giordano Valeriano, Michael Francesconi, another great start for him too. He's up into the top 10 already. And also we have Alessandro Perotti's up 1 place from 11th. He's into 10th right now in the Crown 7 Netrex car. No, in fact, yes, that is correct. Renz Klopp is 11th, then Balash Galliard is in 12th. Then we've got Daniel Kiss. Alessio Campos really has dropped outside the top 10. He was about 8th or 9th on the grid. He's dropped 4 or 5 spots to 14th. He really did have a poor start. Loic Deku is 15th in the management for you, Monster Energy car. Then we've got Edouard Corre, Calabasso, Arthur Aslamajdan, then Nick Fisher, Jackson Wendt, Jonathan Holmes, Cyril Compere. And then at the back we've got Tilla Jekali. And then the cars which look like start from the pit lanes, Miguel Valiant, Carlos Lopez and Milan Radivojevic. Still all 26 cars and a 36.6 second spread across the entire field.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be too long before that's an entire lap, but Campus, I will confirm, started in 9th, so he's not had the best start to the race, but you've got to think of this way. For every person who gets a good start, someone else has a bad start. You know, that's the way you've got to think of it. But Bushov had a really, really good start to get up into first, and you know, I don't even see him on screen anymore. Where's he gone? He's just taken off. He's got a 2-second lead already.
And this is exactly what we saw Zoltan Schuster do yesterday in the World Series race. He must be on the soft compound tyres, because he really started to streak away at an incredible rate already. He's managed to pull another 3/10 in the first sector already, as we're now seeing Mark Alberts, who's got a little train forming here with Franz Schneider, the winner last time out in China. Oh, I think, was that Alberts clipping the wall there slightly? In the gap between, in the little straight between the exit, the second part of Mirabeau, and into Portier. It looked like it was, so I'm not sure that, hope that hasn't caused any damage, if not too much. Schneider is in there too. Kevin Sickie find himself in a ghost speed sandwich here, because he's now got Alberts and Schneider in front of him, and Marshall Thomas right behind him. So, excellent start for Ghost Speed. They'll be rubbing their hands in. This is definitely showing they've got some good pace in their car, and I'm pretty sure this will give them, hopefully, it's good signs for their World Championship race later on this afternoon.
Ghost Speed do look very strong at the moment, but as you're saying about Bushov, with him probably being on soft tyres, the advantage that he has at the moment is that he could have seen the World Series race and to see how that reacts. And you know, the lucky thing about being like the World Championship or the World Series is, or the World Trophy even, is that you've already seen a race. You know, you can already kind of get a feel for what's going on with the tyres. You know, how long they'll last, things like that. And that is quite an advantage here. You know, you're not just going in it, you know, and exploring and hoping for the best. You know, you've got some pretty strong data behind you, and that is extremely helpful. So, Bosho probably feeling pretty confident now with the 2.6 second lead over Albert. So, great start though for Ghost Speed.
And you'd like to think that anyone who actually watched the World Series race yesterday and also spoke to their compatriots obviously racing the World Series, because of course these teams that race in FSR, they've got several teams that they run, and the majority of the bigger teams, or the top teams, they do run teams in all three series, with the exception now of Precision, because they did run one car for their team boss and also the FSR admin now, Johannes Kunkel. But and that was in the World Trophy. I think he was doing that just for a little bit of fun. But of course, now they just concentrate on World Series and the World Championship. But you have got, you know, teams like Ghost Speed who do run teams in all three series, and other cars like I'm watching Michael Francesconi in 90s. Piscara have cars in all three series, as do of course Twister in various guises, and Netrex have always had an eye for talent, and they got their teams out in force today too. So there is a lot of data and a lot of experience and a lot of input that you can take away from those who have raced over the weekend, because they, as you said, they have an idea of exactly how these tyres work on this circuit. They know exactly how long the operating window is and how long they're likely to last, and it just gives you an advantage, because the more drivers that are out on circuit and the more drivers are giving feedback, then when it comes to the World Championship, of course, you know, I'd like to think some of these guys are going to be listening to some of these World Trophy and World Series drivers and just saying, you know, how was it out there? How was the tyres feeling? How was the car feeling? And they'll be getting that feedback, and they can then utilise that going forwards into this afternoon's main event. So I think Ghost Speed are in a really prime position here, because they've got, as you said, 4 of their cars in the top 5. Bolshevik's running away on the soft tyre. Now, if you like, he could even be a guinea pig for someone like Morgan Moran, because this is kind of it's quite clever, because it's almost like Ghost Speed to split their strategies if you look at it, because Alberts and Schneider and Thomas all seem to be on the hard compound tyres. Nothing wrong with that, because they're still only about 3 seconds away. Bolshevik's on the soft tyre. Now, these two, they're running opposite strategies, but this now gives Moran, he now can see he can knows the tail of both, you know, see both sides of the story in terms of how the tyres perform. And of course, he's got, you know, people such as Villa Lapala he can talk to, who's I believe is also racing the World Championship this afternoon. He can talk to them as well and get the feedback. So these races aren't just for, you know, for people to develop their skills and move up the ladder, but it's also crucial to get feedback from these drivers, in my opinion at least, to help them going forwards into the races later in the day.
Yeah, it's always helpful. You know, you can adjust set up and things like that based on what people do in the World Series and the World Trophy have done if you're in the World Championship. You know, it's extremely helpful. You know, every piece of information you can get is completely useful, and there's Kevin Siggy behind Schneider, isn't it? Yes. Probably not feeling in the most comfortable place between the ghost speed, as you said earlier, but it amazes me every single time how close they get to the wall. It's like no wonder, it gets a little bit too close into the swimming pools there, but it amazes me how close they get every single time.
Well, seeing he said he's might be starting to feel the pressure there. I think he glanced the wall on the exit of the back. I did notice he gave it a slight nudge, and these cars are very, very sensitive, very fragile. If you give them just a slight knock on the wall or contact with somebody, it can cause damage to the suspension. It can cause front wing damage as well, damage to the diffuser if you get hit from the rear or the rear wing. So you really do have to be careful with these FSR machines, because they do tend to fall apart pretty quickly if you're too ragged with them.
Oh,
and Siggy now. Oh, what have you seen?
It's what's on screen now. I don't know who it is. It's a Crown 7 Netrex car getting pretty feisty behind one of the Pescara UEI, and it's Purity behind Francesconi.
Yeah, that's Purity. Yeah.
Yes, getting pretty racy coming up the hill. Is he spin coming out? Nearly spins, keeps it held, but that could cause some damage, as you said earlier. They are fragile machines.
Well, he did nudge the wall, too much traction out of the station hairpin, and now that's put him into the clutches of the machine behind him. We need to look, and that is, I believe that's actually Ren's Klopp who's giving chase.
Yeah.
But he's finding himself in a sandwich, because right behind is Peroti's teammate, Balázs Galliard, in the second Netrex Tradition car. Just quickly, I did explain it yesterday in the World Series race, but anyone who is unsure, I think I saw Galliard just glance the wall on the exit at the first part of the swimming pool. But anyone who's unsure how to tell these Netrex cars this season, of course, are pretty similar liveries, but they run different accents, or coloured accents on the front wing end plates and also on the airbox. The main team run red, the Academy cars run yellow, and the Tradition cars, which is the ones that Perotti and Galliard are driving, are green. So that's what you want. So red are the main guys, and then, if you like, yellow and green are like the students, really, if you like, because they're the ones that are still learning, and they're the kind of the feeder teams towards the main championship. And also, I know that MGP is kind of a subsidiary as well. They're kind of a sister team too, much the same as GS Pro Engineering is a sort of sister team to Go Speed. So it's always nice to have these plenty of teams with plenty of drivers. It gives a lot of opportunity to plenty of people who want to try and come up through the ranks in FSR.
Yeah, there's so many teams with like colour schemes that are different, but not quite different enough sometimes to tell the difference really between them. It gets a bit tough for a commentator. Like who is it? There's I think it's the Monster car around here that looks remarkably like colour scheme wise. From a distance, you could kind of mix it up with the Precision Motorsports car. It's quite irritating, but you know, you got to get used to it.
Well, unfortunately, as you were talking about the Monster Energy team, the management for UCAR, unfortunately we have lost one of them, and that is whilst we've been talking all this time, that's Milan Radovojevic, the man whose name you couldn't pronounce. Yeah, Radovojevic is our first retirement. That is just a straight up DNF, so that's rather unfortunate. Whether or not he sustained some damage in the early laps, or whether he just felt he didn't have enough time, if he was losing too much time to the cars in front, so that's rather unfortunate. So it's taken 3 laps to lose our first car, all the rest of the kit are still going. We haven't had anyone lapped yet, but looking down to the field, actually looking at the field, I realised we've got a motor race going on, because we've been talking too much about other things. So as it stands then, Beaucheret still has the lead, but it does seem to me that Alberts at least is just
pulling back.
Yeah, he's pulling him back, and they're starting to just they're kind of seesaw and trade. It kind of stabilise the gap a bit at 2.8, 2.5 seconds, and actually, in fact, Alberts has gained another 3/10 or so in this second sector. Alberts seems to be finding pace on these hard tyres now.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the soft tyres have already gone off. You know, it's so hard to judge him because we don't have like the tyre markers on the side like you do in F1. So it's kind of hard to judge, but you know, Alberts is pulling back pretty quickly now. On screen, I think that's 2.1 seconds. Yes, it is 2.1 seconds. Just at the fastest lap of the race, Alberts is pulling in Boshov at quite a rate of knots at the moment. So if Boshov's tyres have gone off, we could see him pitting in any time now.
And that's quite amazing. We think that it just shows you just how hard Boshov was trying to push there, because Boshov obviously he gave a lightning start. That's probably the reason why he got the better start, because he had more, obviously the softer compound tyres. They got they're stickier, they're more grippy, and that's probably what helped him get a fantastic launch and lead his Sander off the start. But if he really has been pushing that hard, maybe it's something in the setup where he's maybe running a bit, obviously maybe running maximum wings, or maybe too much downforce or too much mechanical grip. If they really are starting to fall off again, then that's pretty incredible that he's managed to burn them up that quickly. He seems to be gathering the gap back up a little bit as he goes to the first sector. That's not a problem, but it's the final two where they start to get a little more winding, where he manages to do that. In fact, he did just pull back 3/10 in the second sector, so let's see what the gap is across the line. It's 2 seconds at the second one. It's stabilised at 2 seconds again, so whether or not Boshov had a bit of trouble and was a bit too ragged on that previous lap, was the reason why he lost the time. But Boshov still holding station, and if he's on the soft tyres, I would expect him to pit roughly around anywhere between laps 15 to 17, maybe 18. That's what we saw yesterday in the World Series. So,
yeah,
but then again, Zuti actually did pit. I think it was a little earlier, roughly around lap 10 or lap 12. So it's not impossible for someone to burn out their tyres too quickly and have to make a stop as early as that.
Yeah, another thing to notice is that there is there's about 20 laps less here. So but I'd kind of agree with you after having a look at it. It's possibly it'll be anywhere between in about 3-4 laps time. Probably be when you'd see him pit. It's about 3 or 4 laps time, but he must be feeling a little bit uncomfortable with Albert's 1.725 seconds behind. He is so closing in that gap extremely quickly.
Well, it's now gone to 1.9, so Boshov's managed to claw some time back in sector 2. And I go across the line here, and what's the gap this time? Boshov swoops across, then goes Albert's, 1.6 now. So overall Albert seems to be faster, but it seems to be Boshov just seems to find moments of pace every now and again on these laps, and just is able to edge away. And whether that's because Albert is maybe pushing a little, is just pushing and then making 1 or 2 slight errors, or Boshov is just seems to be finding corners where, even though his soft tyres are worn, they don't seem to be doing too much damage. You see there, his first sector, that's where he seems to be more strong, because he's pulled back 2/10 again, so the gap's now 1.8. But it's in these latter 2 sectors where Albert just starts to reel him in, although that twitch on the exit of Portier won't have helped him too much.
But there's other things that can be taken from this. Maybe Boshov is looking at this from another logical standpoint of, I don't actually have to push on these tyres so much. If I can drag these tyres out as long as possible, then that's fine, because the overtaking is in the pit there. It is from the pit stops. Here I don't think Albert can overtake Boshov here. Probably now be proven completely wrong, but it is a tough track to overtake, and I think Boshov knows that, and he could be using that to his advantage now, as the gap is 1.1 seconds. So he could be using that to his advantage and not quite pushing as hard as he needs to, or as much as he could be, but trying to maintain the tyres, because maintaining the tyres has proven to be pretty much everything this season so far.
And it's going to be interesting, because if Boshov does pit, of course Albert has a completely clear track in front of him. I mean, if I look now where the last car running on the road at the moment, which is of course Daniel Kiss, he really has dropped down Daniel Kiss. He was somewhere around.
I'll find out.
Stopped. Daniel Kiss has stopped. That is up at the Nouvelle Chicane, and he was running somewhere around in the middle of the pack, around 12th or 13th. So the Twister Racing car has run into some problems, and it looks as though, for me, is that he's chucked it into the harbour, because from where I was trying to look at him, his car's invisible, but it seems to be over the wall.
Lovely.
So something's happened to Daniel, so that's rather unfortunate, and he is out of the race, so that is rather unusual. But again, looking at the man who is last on the road now, which is Attila Jekili, he is now making his way up Beau Rivage and into Massenet right now. The leaders are now, they're starting to make their way up now. Oh, and we missed that, no! Alberts has got past both
Whoa.
today. We missed that completely. Apologies for that, but Alberts has now just taken the lead, so there must have been some way he made a mistake, and let's look at that again, if we can look at it. Oh, and look on the pit straight, Alberts passed him on the pit straight.
You remember when I said overtaking? Yeah, ignore that. But that was a pretty impressive overtake. You must admit. So Alberts must have had colossal speed around here. You know, I think. Oh, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. You know, maybe he like got to the point where he wasn't in the dirty air so much, going around those last sectors, so that he had the drive off the last corner. That's a pretty impressive overtake. You've got to take a deep breath and get something from deep to overtake around Monaco.
Well, broadcast director Sam Jones is wondering if that was actually team orders rather than just a good overtake, and that is intriguing because it did look as though he moved down to the way to allow Alberts pass. I'm not saying exactly it was team orders, but and
he's doing it again.
Look.
Okay, so
that must be team orders.
Must be team orders.
Either that, or it's Boshev taking it into his own hands and thinking, look, these guys are fighting for the championship more than I am, so I'm just gonna let them go. So, and if that is the case, then that's fair enough. That's his own decision. If that is team interference, then well, I guess it is kind of in some way spoiling his race, but it does mean we've got a main Go Speed Racing Team 1-2 with Alberts leading on lap 15 from teammate Franz Schneider. Boschway staying in close proximity in third now, and Siggy has dropped back, and he's now in kind of a bit of no man's land right now. And what's intriguing is that the man I was watching on and off was Ben Tusting, who himself was in kind of all on his own at the moment. Siggy's pulled away, and Thomas is now right in the clutches of Ben Tusting, who is of course second in the championship. He's the highest placed person in the championship that's running today, because of course Marco Zippel, the championship leader, is not here. And Tusting's looking pretty eager. He wants that 5th place, and I think, and the rate he's going, it wouldn't surprise me if he makes a move at some point and tries to nab it.
Yeah, you can't blame him for trying. I mean, round this circuit, there's so little overtaking opportunities. You've got to time it so right. Really, the only place you can overtake properly is down the pit straight. And in Formula 1, even with DRS, that is extremely difficult as he pits. So
yep,
Tusting's got the place anyway.
Yep. So Thomas, of course, was scheduled to make his pit stop there, and that is I think that's one of the first top 10. Boschway's into the pits too. So Boschway makes his stop then, and he was about already 4 seconds back from Alberts by the time he jumped in. This now promotes Kevin Siggy into 3rd place. What a fantastic run he's having here in Monaco. It's a brilliant drive so far from him. And then in 4th is now Ben Tusting, who's now inherited that place now. 5th is now Carlos Martin. He's having a nice quiet race as well. No troubles. And he's heading down towards Mirabeau. Not too far away from Tusting, so maybe you might see that there's a chance he could possibly catch him as he winds his way around the station hairpin. And look at the rest of the top 10. We've got now Valeriano is in 6th, ahead of now the rejoining Boschway. He's now a fresh set of tyres. We've now also got Michael Francesconi. He's been put under pressure from Marshall Thomas, who has also just made his stop. And those two are ahead of now a train of cars, a trio of cars, which is Alessandro Puoti in the Netrex Tradition car, then Renz Klopp in the Bad Piscara Corsa machine, and Loic Decoux in the sole remaining management for you Monster Energy car. And just behind them, of course, is another car which came into the pits, I believe, on the same lap as Thomas and Boshev, and that was Balázs Galiar in the second of the Netrex Tradition cars. I have to keep an eye on that one. And I think Siggy's also jumped into the pits. Yes, he has. Siggy pits from 3rd place.
But yeah, you were saying about Carlos maybe going for Tusting there. Interesting thing about that is that Carlos Martin is sitting in 3rd place in the championship, so you know he's not too far away from it. The only thing that I would point out here is that Zippeli's probably, you know, if he were watching this at home or whatever, or you know maybe a bit later on, he's probably feeling a bit comfortable around now, purely for the fact of Tusting and Martin aren't quite close enough, because I think pretty much they both have to, one of them has to take the lead, things like that, to take the championship, you know, to take the lead of the championship. I don't think we'll see a championship lead change, as we did, I believe, in World Series yesterday. We saw a championship lead change, which is the first time this year in any FSR season. Who was that who hit the wall? swear someone just clipped the wall there.
Siggy.
Yeah.
And Siggy apparently.
Yeah.
And also, we've got a scrap between Francesconi and Thomas. Oh! Thomas spins! Thomas loses the back end on the exit, and I saw he was battling with Francesconi into the Nouvelle chicane. So Marshall Thomas has looped it in the chicane. Let's look at this again. Now, if we get a replay of it, Thomas closes in, he's side by side with Francesconi. They make contact. Thomas, he gets it over the sleeping policeman and the inside of the chicane, and that just brings the back end around, and he loops it. Quick spin turn, and he rejoins, but he's down to 13th.
Yeah,
So,
that must have been painful to like sit there and wait because you can't make your move. You know, you have to be patient because if you drive out, you know, if you just drive out and spin and try and spin in front of them, then you know you're going to take someone else out and then cause yourself a lot of problems a bit later on. So that must have been a pretty painful wait there, unfortunately.
and of course Francesconi would have been sat there thinking, oh, what the hell's going on? And if Francesconi looked as though he must have got at some point a bad exit out of the section that Thomas is coming to now, the kind of station hairpin area, and out of Portier at least, because that really allowed Thomas to close in and have a shot at trying to make a pass. But Francesconi covered the line well. It just seems to be that Thomas was a little bit too eager to try and make the pass and just outbraked himself slightly and trying to accelerate. And of course, again, but he's going to try it now again on Alessio Campos. Has he learned his lesson this time? Will he go around the outside? Yes, he does. Brilliant pass from Marshall Thomas there, around the outside of a Nouvelle chicane. And that's how it should have happened a lap ago with Francesconi. Not going over the curbs and spinning it and dropping several positions. So Marshall Thomas somewhat redeemed himself, but he's now, if he wants to get back to Francesconi, he's got to pass another 5 cars now, starting with Galliard in the net retribution machine for himself. He's embroiled in a 3-way traffic jam with Siggy and Deku, because Deku's running 9th now, and Thomas is about to make it a 4-car train in the fight for 9th place.
Oh, so he sets the fastest lap of the race there as well, does Thomas. That was a pretty good lap to bring it back. But seeing trains in Monaco, you know, one car after the other, after the other, after the other, that can go on, you know, maybe 5 or 6 cars deep, is a pretty common sight around the streets of Monaco. You know, you'll see it all the time. The only time you really won't see it is when every other car has crashed out. It's, you know, it's because it's so hard to overtake around here, and as soon as you get into the dirty air of the car in front, that's it pretty much. You know, there's not really much you can do once you're in that dirty air because you don't have the downforce required to get around some of the corners as fast as the car in front. You know, it is pretty harsh, is this track. You know, you've got to play it right, and this is why strategy is everything around here. And we're probably about to see who has the best strategy, and at the moment, considering Albert and Schneider are the 2 cars leading by over 12 seconds, they are in possibly the best position to experiment with their strategy.
Well, I've just seen a fantastic couple of scraps between both Deku, who's now pissing, and Siggy, and then just behind them it was Marshall Thomas and Balash Galliard. And Thomas tried to go again to the outside to overtake Galliard, and just about got it stopped up. He really had to wind on the steering to try and slow the car down a bit. And Siggy was kind of trying to dummy Deku down towards the chicane, but they just managed to hold each other off. Deku's now pitted, and he is rejoining. Has he left the pits just yet? Let me have a look. He is... Yes, he had. He's back down in 15th. He's ahead of Cannabasol.
Thomas looking yeah, really quite racy. All bit of nudging, I think, there might have happened to the car in front, which is Galliard in the... so that's Crown 7 Netrex Tradition?
Yep.
Okay, so that was a good guess. So he's looking pretty racy, he's getting pretty close, especially up to the first sector, so can he make a move, stick around here? No, he can't. Not this time, Thomas, not this time.
But he doesn't want to do that too many times, also just standing on the anchors. Oh, and Thomas glimpses the wall. You can tell he's trying, but doing that's not going to do it the health of his car too many favours. As they head down towards Raskas once again, and Galliard just holding on.
Whoa!
Oh, it's Thomas on the inside! Oh, and that was a rather aggressive pass. Too aggressive, do you think? Because
I would state too aggressive. He was a bit too far back going into Raskas there.
Yeah. Now, either that was him in frustration because he felt Galliard was holding him up, or he just got a bit too eager and thought, I've got to make this move, otherwise my race is ruined. But either way, I don't think the FSR race director and the stewards are going to like that very much, and I'm pretty sure they'll want to word with Marshall after the race. I'm pretty sure that Ballas didn't appreciate that either, being shoved out the way at Raskas. It really caught him by surprise. He definitely didn't expect that.
Yeah, that Raskas is a difficult corner to overtake, as you know, because it's really tight. You know, it's a double right-hander. It's really tight, and it's not really no corner around here is really an overtaking opportunity. You have to make do with what you got, and I think every driver on the track really wants to be known as the master of Monaco. You know, the person who can overtake where no one else can, and that's possibly what he was trying to do there. But I'd state that was way too aggressive. You know, to push through that much. You know, that could have put both the cars out of the race, which is not what anyone wants, really.
Certainly not. And we look back to the front now, and Mark Alberts and Franz Schneider are just spread eagling the field now. And at the moment, it looks to be like it's a complete ghost speed, high speed demonstration between these two. Alberts now has a 2.5 second gap to get Schneider behind him, and collectively the two ghost speed cars are 15.7 seconds ahead of third place Ben Tusting. So these guys really are controlling the pace, and they're on the hard tyres, so I would expect them to come in roughly around, I would probably say roughly around lap 28 or so. Oh no, was that Alberts clipping the inside wall there? On the right towards Raskas.
I think, who's in the green, that's Siggy there, behind Francesconi?
Yes it is, yeah.
Yeah, I think what happened is he locked up going into the hairpin and must have knocked it Francesconi just a little bit. So you know, stress around Monaco is at an all-time high, because you know there's the car in front and you just can't overtake him. There is literally nothing you can do in your power to overtake the car in front, and it does take its toll. You know, that's possibly what we saw you know, just a few moments ago with Marshall Thomas, and it does take its toll. It is really quite stressful, I will admit.
Siggy is still battling with Francesconi, who said he's to head down towards Sandoval again for the 23rd time. And Marshall Thomas appears to have hit Ballas. Of course he has, he's hit Ballas, of course, when he made that rather rash overtake into Raskas. And he's now quickly scampering after these two in front. And he really has closed in pretty quickly. Slight lock-up through Casino, as Francesconi's on the two as he turned part of his right front tyre into a kind of surface, it's more like a 50 pence piece rather than a tyre. He still on the anchors through there. Looking through the rest of the field, we've also lost another car. We've lost Attila Zekeli, so we're down to 23 cars. We haven't lost too many cars.
No, we haven't.
As I think Ziggy's again trying to look up the inside of Francesconi to Tabacchi. He's really giving the Italian something to think about here, and Ziggy really is putting the pressure on. He's going to have to look funny because Thomas is going to be on his gearbox very shortly indeed, as they through really closing up again through Raskas. So that's where this is very strong. He's strong under braking here in Monaco as he heads to pit straight, and he'll grab a slight toe down towards Sandoval, and Ziggy diving up the inside again. Francesconi locks up, and Thomas almost gets it a little bit sideways, a little bit crossed up, but he holds on for the moment. This is the fight for 8th, 9th and 10th. Francesconi, Ziggy and Thomas.
Yeah, this is probably the closest fight we have currently. There's, I think it's Holmes and Aslamasi, and they have 0.5 seconds between, with Fisher behind 0.9. It's, you know, this is probably the closest duel we have on circuit right now. The thing that I can see Siggy doing is he's going offline to like try and make a move, which you don't really want to go offline around here, because then you're compromising yourself for the next corner. And you know, this is just the thing of Monaco, is to learn where an overtaking opportunity is, you know, where you should be offline, where you can go offline without it causing you too much time. That's the thing, is that going into Sandoval last time, we saw him go pretty much completely offline, and that could have thrown him into the wall. That would have cost him at least, you know, maybe a good half second. And that's the problem. Well, not half second, but you know what I mean. Oh, as Francesconi goes a little bit wide there into the wall, coming around the last corner. So you know, it is difficult. It's too difficult sometimes. But you know, this is what brings up the discussion of should Monaco stay on the calendar, because it's generally just one car in front of the next, in front of the next, in front of the next, and you know, and I do like Monaco. It's a tough circuit, and I like it for that. But you know, you can't help but kind of understand. Oh, Siggy still not quite close enough. But you can't help but understand where some of these drivers are coming from with it. It's just a bit too tough sometimes.
Well, they said the toughest, you know, law of the jungle, and the strongest survive. At the moment, the strongest, of course, are the two ghost cars. And what's interesting now, as it's become to probably the pit window for the hard tyre compound runners. Quite intriguing that Schneider's just starting to wind in Albert's a little bit now. The gap's now down to 1.8. It was 2.5 the last time I looked at it. But Schneider just feeling a little more confident as these tyres start to bed into probably the final few laps before their pit stop. And I wonder, in fact, he's put a gap down again. This is down to 1.5. But of course, partially what that be due to the fact that now Alberts has got traffic to move past. They've both just gone past Nick Fisher. And now they're coming up with Cyril Compare. And of course, that will also mean Azerbaijan's in there as well. And that is Albert's now going side by side with Comparing. Grabs him before he gets to the corner.
Siggy's lost place to Marshall Thomas going round Saint-Devote. He looked like he got a bit too much into the overtaking move on Francesconi, and it cost him quite a little bit there. So that is unfortunate. That's some decent points that he could have taken away, but it's cost him. It's just cost him. It looks like he's being a bit too. Oh, it's Marshall Thomas again. Oh, a bit too aggressive at the moment.
Really does need to calm it down a little bit, because this is not a good advert for FSR in terms of driving standards with this kind of run at the moment. He really is putting a little bit, letting his enthusiasm and emotions get the better of him here, because he just needs to steady it down a little bit. I know, of course, he's keen to overtake and he wants to try and do well, but he really has to just tone it down a little bit here. He made a very rash pass on Galliard.
Albert's pits.
Yes, he does. Alberts does pit. So race leader is now into the pit. Van Schneider takes over.
Oh, Tusting looked like he clipped the wall there, coming up to. Sorry, I can't remember the name. It's one at the top of the hill.
Massenet.
Massenet, that's it. But yeah, he looked like he clipped the wall coming up there and got a bit too close to it as Alberts had just come out of the pits. So hopefully no damage there, but it was a bit of a grind.
Absolutely. Well, Schneider's now making his way down onto through into the harbour, into the swimming pool section, and I wonder if this will be his turn, the pit road this time. We'll have to wait and see. Breaks in a straight line, winds his way around Raskas as he stays to the right. No, he doesn't, he carries on. So Schneider's feeling comfortable on these tyres. We said that he was going a little bit quicker. That's probably due to the fact that Alberts was caught up in a little bit of traffic. Now Schneider is the one that's having to was coming across it first as the race leader, and of course Alberts now is having to fend off from Ben Tusting, as Tusting is now actually pitting, so Tusting is now in from third, and this will for the moment give Carlos Martin the lead. It was third place, excuse me. So Carlos Martin with an excellent drive so far in the positive sim racing World Trophy team car. And also, whilst you're watching that, Francesconi has been passed by Marshall Thomas. Where it happened and how aggressive it was, we don't know. Oh, and Thomas clips the inside wall at Anthony Noge, and Francesconi's pitted, it looks like, and Siggy just goes right round the outside and says, thank you very much. So all of Marshall Thomas's hard work has just been undone, and now he's got Alessandro Puotti in the other NetMex Tradition car, all on the back of him as well. So is this just the over-enthusiasm get the better of him?
You can't help but say that, yeah. I mean, it does look a bit too like he's sometimes a bit overly enthusiastic. You know, the mistake he did there is kind of like it's an easy one to make, because you can't see your rear wheels, you know, and to clip them, which is what it looked like he did. He clipped it on the barrier on the right-hand side, and you know, with his rear right wheel, and that happens, you know, but you can't help but say some of the moves that he's done today, some of the driving that he's done today, it just looks a bit too over enthusiastic. Is that Albert's pitting here, or is that Schneider? That's Schneider pitting.
That's Schneider.
Why would Albert's pit again? He's just pitted.
Unless there's a major problem. Well,
yeah.
But obviously that's not the case.
Bit too over enthusiastic, I'd probably say, yeah.
Yeah. Well, as you said, Schneider's made his pit stop, and he is now, well, the gap's now 4.1 seconds, so Alberts has found a little bit of time in the period since he stopped, so of course Schneider decided to pit 2 laps later. So Alberts is now going to run, see exactly how much time he can make up. Now his tyres are pretty much up to temperature.
Looked like Valeriano and Puetti pitted as well, so you know, it's all changed in Monaco. Everyone seems to be pitting at the moment.
Well, it's the hard tyre runners, of course, because these guys...
Oh, there's a bit of... Oh, someone clipped the wall in the background there. Who was that? I believe it was a Ghost Speed car. I just saw someone coming through Casino and smashing into the wall on the left-hand side. Yeah, it was... let's have a look. Yeah.
Who was...
Marshall Thomas making
it was Marshall Thomas.
Yeah. Again, just possibly looking a bit too over-enthusiastic, as you said.
Lagged a little bit on my screen, but yeah, yes he did. I saw at the end of it there where he's fishtailing. So Thomas then definitely been on the wars and in the controversy nevertheless, but still carries on. That's exactly what he can do now from 9th. But he's now going to try and chase after Giordano Valeriano now, as Siggy's now managed to move faster, because Valeriano I think has just made a pit stop. So as Thomas again, a little bit wide to Sandoval. He really, either he is carrying slight bits of damage, or he's just not feeling confident that car in terms of its setup, because well, he's quick, but he's very error prone, it seems. I mean, I do remember one memorable mistake that he made was he was being lapped by Peter Burlack in the World Trophy race in Canada. He runs wide there through Mirabeau. I think he's struggling with something, with some damage from that contact.
If he doesn't have damage, I will be heavily shocked. You know, that's the 3rd piece of contact that we've seen him with so far. I mean, we're halfway through the race now, and 2 of those pieces of contact were with a wall, which are remarkably tough around Monaco. So if he doesn't have damage, I will be absolutely shocked. I will state that there is probably some, maybe not completely severe damage, but there is at least some sort of damage on that car at this present moment in time.
Yeah, as you're saying, Marshall, there was an incident he was involved in with Peter Burlack at the World Trophy race in Canada last year. If anyone watched it, it was probably one of the most memorable events of the World Trophy season in 2012, as Thomas now pits. So I wonder if this is going to be an extended stop because he's suffering with damage. If he's there for longer than 3 or 4 seconds, it wouldn't surprise me. Let's see now. He stops, up go the jacks, comes down.
Yeah, he's staying there.
Yeah, he's stationary, so that must be damage that's into repairs. And so Master Thomas's over-exuberant driving has cost him a little bit. He's back out again, and they've managed to fix whatever the problem was. And back out he goes again.
Oh, as he clips the wall on the exit to the pit lane.
So all that work which the pit crew have just done, it's in partially just come undone by hitting the wall after lighting up his rear tyres a bit too much coming out of the pit lane.
Yeah, who's this? This is Francesconi with... Who is behind Francesconi at the moment? It's Puetti,
yeah. Puetti.
So, because Puetti just pitted only a couple of laps ago, so that will explain that. Francesconi, let's have a look. What was his last lap time? 1:17.751. That's not a bad lap time. So, you know, he's looking pretty racy, but I will say someone who's looking extremely racy at the moment is Franz Schneider with a 1:16.7 on his last lap. He is closing that gap in pretty quickly now. Once again, we're seeing that the lead car just doesn't seem to have the pace compared to the car behind it. It's a bit weird, you know, because we saw this with Beauchauve just a bit earlier on. It's a bit weird. But welcome to Monaco.
Absolutely. Well, Schneider just seems to be in his element now. He's joined Ghost. I've never seen. I knew from the fact that he was a pretty decent driver, but I've never seen him as competitive and not racing up near the front as I have now that he's a Ghost Speed. It does obviously seem to ring true that anyone who joins one of the top teams like Precision or Ghost Speed or Twister or the like, they do tend to you tend to see the improvements pretty quickly. Like, whether that's due to the fact that it's just tuition from one or two of the drivers in the team already, or it's just shared setups from some of the top drivers. But Schneider really started just to fly now. Well, he's lost 4/10 in that final sector, but for the first 2 of those 3 sectors, he was starting to reel in Alberts. And I think Alberts is maybe getting a little too caught up with traffic, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I will also say that Francesconi did get overtaken by Pirotti, and Francesconi did also pit. But about Schneider, I mean, it's kind of a bit like Lewis Hamilton moving to Mercedes in some ways. It's finding the team that you're comfortable with. Lewis Hamilton looks so happy in Formula One now. I mean, maybe he's not getting the results that he wants quite. After Spain was pretty poor for them, but like keeping it in FSR, it's as soon as you move to the team that you're comfortable with, you can go for better results. You can be more consistent, things like that. It's being comfortable. You can't. I don't think anyone can kind of grasp, except the driver, how much moving to a team that you're comfortable with actually makes a difference on the result that you take from it. So many times you'll see like a driver move to a team and then not be comfortable in that team and will struggle with it, even though they may have the fastest car on the grid. That doesn't necessarily matter. Comfort is so important, to be in a team that you're comfortable with, to be in a car that you're comfortable with. And people that understand what you say, like, oh, I did this lap and this is what's wrong, and they understand that and they know how to fix it. It's really quite comforting to have that, and I think that's possibly what Schneider's had here. Is he's just been more comfortable since he's joined Ghostspeed.
And also, what's also crucial is that the knowledge and the experience you gain from a top team like this, going forwards into if you want to go to another team, the good thing is that you can put what you've learned from the team you join. So, for example, if Franz Schneider was to move on to another team in the near future, was to move on next year, or he was here at Ghostspeed for a couple of seasons and then moved on, everything that he would have learned, he can then start to apply to himself, and also the development of the car and development of the setups and development of the team in as a whole going forward, because he's had that experience. He knows what it's like to be in the top two. He knows how it operates. He knows not necessarily the secrets, but he knows effectively the tricks of the trade in terms of how to make the car go fast and such. And that can only benefit not only Schneider as a whole, because he's learning more knowledge. He's finding out more about himself as a sim racer and as a driver. But also, it massively helps the team, because, of course, if they're a relatively new team, for example, or one that's not had any fantastic results in the past, of course, having a driver that knows what it's like to run at the front and get consistently great results, it can only give them. It's only a boost for them, because then hopefully they're hoping that the knock-on effect of signing that driver will start to become evident pretty quickly.
Yes, that is true. But whilst you were talking, Deco in his I can't remember what the team name is, the Monster Energy car.
Yeah, I believe it's the Management for You Monster Energy car.
Management for You Monster Energy car. Only a bit of a long title, but still. He did a very, very nice overtake coming into the Grand Hotel hairpin on Pirotti. No, it wasn't Pirotti. It was Gallia in front. It was a very impressive overtake. On the inside of that hairpin, which is remarkably tight anyway. Very nice overtake, very clean, not too much contact, and not naming names here, but alright, I might name one. Marshall Thomas can look at that and learn from it. I mean, because he's fast, he's got his car into position to overtake as Marshall Thomas, but he's cost himself. He's just done the fastest lap of the race. He's proving himself that he is extremely quick, but doing overtakes where you shouldn't be has evidently cost him. He's now running in 12th. He should be higher than that with the speed that he's going.
No, I totally agree. I think it's just over, as you already said, it's just over exuberance that gets the better of him, and unfortunately leads to that kind of mistakes. But of course, it's been around for a little while, so hopefully he can continue developing. And you'd like to think, as it makes the exact same point as you're making with Schneider. Now he's with Ghostspeed. Hopefully, some of their expertise and some of their wisdom can rub off on him, and he can start to become a better driver in terms of consistency and keeping it on the road. Also, whilst we caught the end of the overtake for Deku, I can see Kevin C making his second pit stop, and I'm guessing that he's gone soft, hard, because, or maybe not, because Siggy's, because that was a short stint, and I've looked through that Siggy's gone on. Yeah, I reckon he's gone soft, hard on that one, and he's going to be running to the end of the race, I feel, unless Siggy's going to run 3 stints on the soft tyre. If he is going to do that, of course, he'll need to stop again and bolt another set, but we'll have to wait and see how that plays out.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, look, I've just looked at his driving analysis on the live timing. he did a 16 lap stint and then an 18 lap stint, which 16 lap stint, as you said earlier, does smell a bit like a soft stint. And so then doing an 18 lap stint after that smells again like a soft stint. So yeah, I would assume soft, hard. Not a bad strategy around here, you know, because that could work. You can do it the other way around, hard, soft, or soft, hard, soft. You know, it could work. We won't probably see a one-stop strategy around here. I think it's pushing the tyres a bit too much. So, but yeah, I'd say Kevin Siggy is on a soft, and a hard. One thing that I will point out is that Tusting in his P3 at the moment, he will score 30 points for that if he finishes in that position. I mean, we're quite a long way from the finish. Now, who's this? Is this Gallia defending from Klopp? Who's defending it? Okay, going around the first corner, but yeah, Tusting
looks to me. Oh, sorry, Gallia
No.
just there's Gallia. But Proci's watching on, and Ren's Klopp is giving Gallia all sorts of headaches as they run down towards the motorboat and up towards the station hairpin. Deku's already starting to scamper off in front in 7th, as Klopp finds himself in a Nitrex tradition sandwich. And Thomas is also bringing them in. He's now in 11th, and he's now actually, ironically, in front of Francesconi and Siggy now, of course, from the fact they had the pit. But Klopp, this is going to be intriguing as to how these two Nitrex tradition cars play this out, because of course, not only are they holding up Ren's Klopp, but of course, they both know that Galliard has a rear gunner in Proci, so he can apply the pressure. So that's only going to help try and force Ren into a mistake. And there was a perfect example of like two cars battling, and it was the car behind that made more mistakes than the car in front. Perfect example was our fellow FSR commentator Nick Rowland, who was driving yesterday in the World Series. A magnificent 5th place he scored. As watch. Oh no! That does the Majan, and he just exited, and that's the worst possible thing you want to do, straight into your sister teammate. And as a result, through goes Klopp, through goes Perotti, through goes Thomas. And Altamaz Majan must be red with embarrassment right now, because that was exactly the one thing, exactly one of the drivers he did not want to make an error in front of after pit, especially after the pit lane.
Although I will state the pit lane here is pretty horrible. Although looking at it now, he does look like he is pretty much out of the race. It is a horrible pit lane. You know, it's so easy to make a mistake. Yeah, he just got a little bit too over the sleeping policeman as he picked up a bit too much speed coming out of the pit lane. Unfortunate, but you know that is a mistake. It's a shame that it happened, and you know it must feel really bad to do that right in front of your sister, as you said, your sister teammates. That can't have felt good. No.
Heading on to up to 10th now, Marshall Thomas is trying to do the business now. They head onto the pit straight once again, and Thomas now is all over the back of Missy. I wonder if we're going to see any more antics here from Marshall Thomas. He's given us enough throughout this race, but we'll have to wait and see. And I think, is that Francesconi's got past Galliard, and Galliard's in fact is in the pit, so and he's away again, so that must have been a little bit of, obviously he was suffering from a tad bit of damage, but still, away he goes.
Yeah, I mean, it does look, and you said that it was soft, hard. It does look like quite a lot of drivers are running that strategy if you look at the live timing. Although, as I was saying a little bit earlier, Tusting, in the position that he's currently in, he will score 30 points, and he will actually take the lead of the championship if he stays in his current position by 3 points, albeit. So now Zipley may not be as comfortable as he was with his championship lead. But Tusting then, if he can keep good in his current position, I mean he qualified about 5th or 6th, so to get up into 3rd, that's not a bad drive at all. So it's a good drive there from Ben Tusting so far. So we've got quite a few duels on the track so far. There's only a number of cars really close to each other. You've got Boshob and Martin. They're surprisingly close. As here we are with them too. The Biocross Positive Sim Racing car behind the car that was leading a bit earlier on. as we were saying about overtaking earlier on, this is probably the distance where you'd be okay behind a car because you're not so affected by the turbulent air from the car in front, and you know you cannot understand how important that is around this circuit. You know, as we go through the swimming pool section, very fast, very fast section, easy to make a mistake. I think we saw that from Sergio Perez in Formula 1 last year, where he just went a bit too fast and smashed into the wall on the left-hand side. Which, speaking of crashing out, we have still only had, what, 3 cars DNF from the Grand Prix so far. I suppose 4 now if you include Azamazian. And I believe Gallia's pitted right now. Yes, because he's gone up like that. So we've got 4 DNF so far, and I said earlier on in the race that half the grid would not finish. So I'm feeling a bit stupid for that statement, but you know, it's always, as I said, it's always good to be proven wrong, and the high attrition rate around here is something which can be a bit uncomfortable. We saw it a lot in the Winter Series, where there were so many cars that just wouldn't finish the race. So, you know, to state that we've only had 4 DNFs around here so far, you know, it's pretty good.
Well, just quick, because I had to take a quick toilet break, apologies for that, but I just caught, just as I left, obviously whatever damage Galliard suffered, it didn't fix it too much, because he just careered it into the wall at the Nouvelle Chicane, so he's now become the next retirement from today's Monaco Grand Prix.
Galliard did go out. Okay, yeah, I thought he went to the pits or something, but yeah, okay, fair enough.
In fact, apparently it was his brakes. Apparently he suffered complete brake failure, so it must have been the damage he suffered. It must have been more. It must have been the actual brake discs or whatever it was, or brake line was the culprit. But heading now on lap 42, and Albert still has the lead. But both Ghostspeed cars are now in clear air, and Albert's again is starting to close in. The gap's now 1.6 seconds. I can't see too much traffic in front. Well, not from Albert's car that I can't see. Let me have a look.
Looking at live timing, they'll be coming up on campus. They're about 10. It's really hard to judge by live timing how far they'd be behind. I'd say probably about 10 seconds behind campus. So, you know, they've got a bit of clean air now. Although I can't see how far the cars... No, there isn't a car 2 laps down. That's 2 people of DNF. So, you know, yeah, so they've got a little bit of clean air, and Schneider does look, again, just a little bit more comfortable than Albert's does. So Schneider's looking pretty good, although he did drop 0.3 of a second through Sector 2. There's still not much between them, though. There's only 2.2 seconds now between them, so Albert's again going a little bit quicker. So, you know, the Ghostspeed cars, though, both drivers in the Ghostspeed cars look, you know, very, very comfortable. It's kind of like what we saw in Bahrain with the World Series race with the 2 precision drivers, you know, Van Startenberg and Ghostspeed. They just looked so comfortable up in the lead, and it was just them 2, you know, basically trading fastest lap for fastest lap. And I think that's kind of what we're about to see between Schneider and Alberts.
Well, the gap's now again in that first sector stabilised at 2.2. They're holding on. Both of them have a collectively they have a 23 second advantage over Ben Tusting in third. Boshov, after his great start, back up to fourth. He's 27.7 seconds off the lead. Carlos Martin is fifth.
Oh, Marshall Thomas and Puetti going through turn 1. I don't know if that was pretty aggressive. I'm not really too sure. I only caught the last little glimpse of that move, but it looked like there was a little bit of wheelbang. Let's have a little look as we ride on board with Puetti. There's the Ghostspeed. It did look too aggressive again.
Now you'd wonder if Ghostspeed are going to watch that, or if FSR stewards are going to have a word with both Marshall and Ghostspeed. That obviously the team are going to have to sit Marshall down and say, look, come on Marshall, we had all these complaints now that the stewards have seen you've made all these dangerous moves. You have to tone it down, because understandably it is Monaco, and it is of course a very special circuit. It is very unique in that sense as well, but you just can't take liberties on a circuit like Monaco, because if you do, it is going to bite back. And I've got this horrible feeling that Marshall's probably going to go one kind of move too far, and it's going to ultimately cost him the race. So we'll have to wait and see with that one, with bated breath, as Thomas is now closing on 7th place Ren's Klopp in the Pescara Corsa machine. And we're now on lap 44 of 59 in this Monaco Grand Prix. A little wide again to Sandoval. Just brushing the wall, but closing in. I wonder if we're going to have any more fireworks in the fight for 7th.
You never really know around Monaco. You know, someone can spin out who's 2 laps down and just cause the front 2 cars to crash out. You can't predict anything around Monaco. It is such a unique circuit. Let's call it a unique circuit. But about Marshall Thomas, we've got 15 laps to go. I hope he doesn't make a move too far. Unfortunately, I could see it, but I hope he doesn't, because it's when it's just a little bit. Oh, that was the. Wow, that was Holmes, wasn't it? Getting passed by Valiente as Holmes just. Wow, got a bit too much over the curb on the inside, I believe, coming through Casino. Let's have a little look. Yeah.
Oh, and I just spotted someone else. Campos is off. Alessio Campos is off at the chicane. And he's beached it, unfortunately. He looks as though on one of the sleeping policemen, which is unfortunate. He's trying to get it back going again.
Oh, sorry, I thought I saw a car crash into him. Jeez.
No, he's just about got it away. That's not that. But yeah, as I predicted, all that revving trying to get it off the curb, definitely not done wonders to his engine. In fact, he's the exact opposite. I'm going to quickly see if I can look at that and see exactly how that happened. What's that? Yeah, when he was ahead, and all of a sudden, whoa! It looks to me like Taku just didn't brake properly, just slammed into the back of him.
Yeah, that's what I thought I saw. Yeah, wow.
And either that, because it looked to me like Taku just appeared. So whether or not he was having some lag problem, a lag spike or something. But it does appear to me then as though that Campos was the innocent party there. That was a reminiscent of how he was sliding across the road, like reminiscent of when Jenson Button did that in qualifying in 2003, where he was sliding across into the barrier. But Campos is back out again. He's down to 19th, and I don't know how much of the damage has been repaired or how much has been sorted. Well, he's down now to 20 because Jackson Wentz has just swept past as Campos exits the pits.
Carlos Martin did an extremely good lap there with a 1:14.778, so he's looking extremely racy as he's 4 seconds down on Beauchevre in front, who did a lap about 2.5 seconds slower. So Carlos Martin looking pretty racy right now. Probably hoping to take a bit more out of the point, and I actually believe he was 10 seconds in front. That was my misreading on the live timing.
So, lap 47, and Albert still leads. The gap is now 2.6 seconds, so it's kind of just exactly as you said, same situation as we had with the World Series in Bahrain. It's trading lap times, trading sectors, and just letting the gap seesaw between a few tenths. As Albert holds on to the lead from Schneider. Schneider is just getting past Alessandro Puotti. So it means they've lapped everyone now up to 11th, excuse me. The next man they'll be trying to come up to the lap is going to be Loic Decoux, and he himself is just heading through the swimming pool section. Ben Tusting is in 3rd, but quite a way back, and he's got a hell of a gap in front of him to try and make up, but he's doing well to hold on to the final podium spot. 4th is Jacques Beauchevre. He's got about a 9 second gap to Martin behind. Valeriano is chasing after him in 6th. Renz Klopp is now 7th. Kevin Siggy is 8th. Well, that's interesting. Either Marshall Thomas has pitted again, or he's had a problem somewhere, because he's dropped down to 12th.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah. Not really sure what's happened there. Is he? I think he may have pitted. I'll have a little look. But he has just set the fastest second sector, so, you can't...
Could be fresh tyres.
Yeah, the driver analysis hasn't updated properly, so I can't actually see what his last time he pitted, so unfortunately I can't check that out. But well, I'd say probably pitted, yeah.
Well, he is absolutely monstering the back of Alessandro Puotti, who himself has just had to deal with getting past Franz Schneider. And amazing, Schneider's not getting away from Puotti this time. Puotti's running with him. In fact, I think he might be trying to unlap himself here. Is this wise? Down towards chicane, but no, Puotti backs off. And this is quite a unique situation because Perotti, of course, it seems to be in some points faster than Schneider. So whether Schneider's backing off or he's starting to have one or two tyre wear issues, but not. Oh,
Ooh.
Thomas in the wall! Oh, I fear my predictions come true. I said Thomas, his enthusiasm will get the better of him eventually, and it has happened. And it was straight into the wall at the swimming pool section. Oh, Marshall Thomas, looking at it again, and just now that's interesting. That either he had some, it looks like it says suspension. So whether or not his suspension collapsed, looks to me how he sped into the wall. That was a right rear suspension failure. But that just happened so quickly, and he's ended up with the car upside down. And well, I guess it might sound harsh, but can't say we didn't tell him so. His over enthusiasm got the better of him, and just hitting the batter is a bit too much has caused some long-term damage, and eventually that's the consequence. And although you really like to feel sorry for Marshall Thomas, and in some ways you can, and in some ways you really can't, can you?
No, I mean, he had just pitted on lap 45. He did in fact pit. That's why he was so down. So he did a 136.1. So he must have pitted on that lap. So he was on fresh tyres. It looked to me like on the left, on the going into the swimming pool, that there was the wall, and he just kind of clipped that a bit too much. Could have been suspension failure. You know, there's no real way to tell at the moment, but you know, it was one thing just a little bit too far, and it's cost him the whole race of what was, you know, what could have been an impressive race. You know, some slightly too aggressive moves. You know, maybe using some slightly too aggressive exits to the corners, things like that, and it's cost him. And you know, it is unfortunate, but you know, I don't think you can really feel that sorry for him after some of the things that's happened this race.
Oh, that's intriguing. Just watched that. But the two cars that were directly in front of him have just swapped positions, obviously, as in track position at least, because Snyder's just let Perotti unlap himself. Now that's quite intriguing. Now, I guess it wasn't so much of a problem, seeing as now Marshall Thomas is now out of the race, and with the car directly behind both of them is Jackson Went, but he is not a threat at the moment because he is currently down in 19th, so that he's the last car running, so that's not too much of a problem. But I guess that Schneider's he's almost like he's settled for second place now, because Alberts is now 4 seconds up the road, almost 4.1, and everything just seems as though they're just starting to wind down, and everyone's kind of just resolving any battles they have. There's no one really that's close enough to each other that's really looking towards a battle on track, really, because everyone's kind of all spread out, and everyone's kind of spread-eagled themselves, and well, the closest battle, no, it's not even that. So yeah, everyone is pretty much all nicely kind of just bedded themselves down to the end of the race, and fingers crossed, we managed to get the remaining 19 cars all across the line.
Yeah, multi-21. You never know. We have seen team orders already this race, or what could have been team orders. We don't know if it was team orders, but you know, it may have been. But what Schneider's doing now is pretty smart. I mean, he's probably been pushing earlier on in the stint, you know, pushing to try and get close to Alberts and hopefully take the position from Alberts. But you know, if he's looking at it now, looking at all of the data that he has and going, there isn't really much more I can push. The further I push, the more I degrade the tyres. The more I degrade the tyres, the more likely it is for me to crash into a wall and end the race. Second's a good place. It's, you know, it's a good position to finish. It's on the podium. It's 40 points, and the cars behind, you know, could cause more issue than it's worth, and they're not a threat to my position. Might as well just let them through, and you know, he's thinking, and that's important that he's actually thinking about. Is that Fisher out?
It is, yeah. I've just seen that. Looks like he lost the back end and the braking towards Raskas, and just, you know, it was too. He nudged it up against the wall, and I don't think he could either select reverse or he didn't want to stall the car. So it looks as though either he retired because to keep the car in one piece, or he's retired out of frustration. But it's intriguing, isn't it? I said we wanted to get all 19 cars to finish. As soon as I said that, we lose one. So that's. I really should close my mouth a bit more on that when saying things like that.
It's alright, every time I say something here, it always appears the other way around, you know, the complete opposite of what I've said. Such as half the grid will DNF from this race, and look at where we are now, you know. We've got 18 cars still out, and that's a really good amount of cars still out on track, especially for Monaco. You know, will we see much overtaking right from the get-go? We saw Bosho take. Was it Schneider was on pole? Oh no, it was Albert was on pole. What?
Just seen, speaking of Schneider, I've just seen him just go straight on at the and over the sleeping policeman at the Nouvelle chicane. So probably, even though he's now turned the wick up and thought, right, I'm going to start pushing now, or that was just him with a little lapse of concentration. So maybe he's being too relaxed.
Let's have a little look.
Just happened up at the Nouvelle chicane.
He's out. I think is he out? Or
No,
is he
he's still going.
He's still going. Okay.
Schneider is still going.
That's fine.
Across the line now. Gap's 4.6. So, but I was just about to say. So basically, our prediction that less than half the field are going to finish the race. By our calculations, then we're expecting to drop at least another 5 cars then before the end of the race, because that would basically take us to our magic number of half a field. So yeah, that's what we're expecting. So with this and the next 6 laps to go, according to us, there's going to be another 5 or 6 cars dropping out. So who they're going to be, we don't know. But
hopefully 5 cars don't drop out. I mean,
no,
that is one prediction that I'm quite hopeful doesn't come true.
No, most definitely.
You know, it's always nice to see people finish the race, especially around Monaco. You know, I think it's actually quite a big confidence boost. You know, no matter where you finish in Monaco, if you finished in Monaco, it is a good feeling because it is such a tough circuit. You know, knowing that across the last 59 laps that you've just done, one mistake could have thrown you out of the race. As I think that was Carlos Martin going a little bit too on the power, going into the hairpin. So, you know, this is also, unfortunately, this is the part of the race when mistakes are even more easy to make than previous. You know, you've maybe got damage from earlier on in the race, your tyres are degraded a lot more. You know, it is so easy to make a mistake around here, and you know, everyone's just got to keep a cool, calm head and just focus on the next 6 laps. So we've got to do, as Martin looking like he really wants to get past Bosho right now.
Yeah, I've just been keeping an eye on that one. This is effectively the closest battle on track right now. So with this, we've got a nice little scrap that will hopefully take us to the end of the race. The Bosho 4th, Martin 5th. GS Pro Engineering versus Positive Sim Racing. This is going to be the fight, we think, towards the finish, unless one or the other or both make a major mistake and at least drop back into Massenet once again. And Martin a little wide through Massenet, down the hill again towards Mirabeau. Bosho covering the inside line through the right-hander very well, and again as they turn it on a full lock around the station hairpin through Portier. Martin's actually staying very, very close. This could be a good opportunity here. If he can get himself close enough in the toe through the tunnel, he might try and sneak a pass into the hairpin if he's daring enough. And he thought about it, just snuck out a little bit, but he's
definitely thought about it.
But he wasn't close enough. So I think he's trying to distract Bosho a little bit, but for the moment Bosho is not too fussed.
No, the easiest way to overtake around Monaco really is to force a mistake. Unfortunately, that is the way it is. That is the easiest way to overtake around Monaco. It is such a tough track. But one thing I will say is that the Biocross Positive Sim Racing car, I think it's probably one of the best looking cars that we have on the track. You know, I really like its colour scheme. I don't know why. I just really like it.
I'd have to agree. It's a nice mix of white and blue and green. Also, I think what's quite favourable is their other team, which is especially in World Series when they have their kind of other team, which is in the white, green, and orange. It has a very nice kind of Force India feel to it as well.
Yeah,
very nice
I agree.
livery. I have to admit though, the majority of the cars from all the teams across all 3, plus FSR in general, all their cars are fantastic precision. We added a nice flavour to theirs with a nice bit of luminous yellow with some kind of charcoal grey or charcoal silver, if you like. The Twisters cars look fantastic too. They've got their main cars have got a nice shade of blue on them with the accents of white and a bit tips of red and black on them.
Not quite this lap.
No. Just seeing that Martin just tried a little bit into the again the Nouvelle chicane. That seems to be the pass where he's trying to either set Bosho up or maybe he's going to that inside bit just to make you think of what he's doing. A little ragged on the exit of the opening section of the swimming pool. They head into Rascasse again. And Martin again a slightly wider line through there, but I think he's looking to try and get a bit slightly later apex. And now as they sweep down towards Sandoval once again for the 56th time. And Martin diving up the inside. There's contact slightly. Martin up on 2 wheels. And yeah, well, you can't blame him for trying, but that really didn't work out too much because I don't think he was expecting Beauchevet to cover the line too much. But then again, Beauchevet wasn't expecting Martin, I don't think, to dive up the inside from that far back.
No, this is one of those points when you had like the line that you were about to say in your mind, you know, oh, Martin is eventually going to try and make a move that probably won't work, and you know, I didn't say it in time, but you know, that was kind of what I was expecting. Not this lap, I was actually expecting that pretty much on the final lap of the race, you know, to see a move like that, you know, just in full desperation, just to try and make the move stick. Oh, and that was Peretti in the background just clipping the wall. That's going to cost him, hopefully, not too much damage, but that was looked like a pretty hefty whack coming out of the first corner there.
And also what's key is that look who's behind him. It's the 2 Ghost Speed cars that are leading, and what's also quite intriguing is that unless they're going for a formation finish, either Albert's tyres are starting to go up a little bit now, or Schneider's looked after his, or he's just allowing Schneider to catch up so they can get kind of a team finish, if you like, and you know, because all teams, if they're running a pretty dominant race, you know, they love to get their team photos and showing that they're dominant. But Albert's now making his way through the tunnel, back into the sunshine. And Albert's really has put in a fantastic race today. He's, of course, started from pole. And Schneider started third, of course, but didn't get a fantastic start. That was left to Beauchevet, who we talked about, on that softer compound tyre. Schneider really is closing in. He's found 7/10 of a second. The gap's now less than half a second, so I wonder what's going on here. Now, surely not. There's not going to be more team orders here.
Well,
surely they're not going to have Schneider. This week's not going to just hand Schneider the lead on a plate. Let's just watch and see what happens here.
I'm just going to say that Alberts is actually technically higher up in the championship standings. He's in 4th with 56 points. Franz Schneider is only 2 places down in 6th because he took a win last time out in China, and you can't help but feel that there may be some team orders here. You don't know. I mean, we've seen team orders from Ghost Speed earlier on. Sorry, I must say that we don't know that was team orders. That could have been driver initiative. We don't know, but it looked suspiciously like team orders. We don't know if this could be team orders again. You know, in my mind, I don't want it to be, because that's not what we're here to see. We're here to see decent racing, not, oh, please move out of the way, you know, Schneider is faster than you. That kind of stuff.
Well, it's true you said that when you talk about doing it on their own initiative, and I have to agree, because it might be the case that Albert's thinking, well, okay, you know, if... Oh, no! Schneider clips the wall! Oh, what are we saying? Now, hold on, is Schneider still going? No! Schneider's out of the race!
He lost his rear leg.
I don't believe it! Franz Schneider has beached him so he hits the wall in the swimming pool section, he's beached it on the curves, he's torn off his left rear wheel, and Schneider is out of the race! And like the Cou's hit out of the race too! With an engine failure, what is going on here in Monaco? Oh, and that was literally, he was about a lap and a bit to go to getting a 2nd place. That is a cruel twist of fortune for Franz Schneider. And that hands Ben Tusting 2nd place, and it should give back Martin, who has now in fact got past Beauchevet. Martin will now inherit 3rd, but how cruel is that for Franz Schneider? He did nothing wrong until that mistake there.
No, that was a cruel twist of fate, but it does mean that Tusting does have a better lead in the championship. He's now got a 13-point lead in the championship if he finishes in his current position. I believe, that's my maths, don't follow it. Carlos Martin keeps 3rd, but that is such a cruel twist of fate from Franz Schneider, because that would have given him 90 points in the championship overall. You know, and that would have moved him up theoretically into 4th, no, it wouldn't, no, because of Albert's in the position that he's in. You know, he would have gotten up a bit anyway. You know, that's decent points, and he's just missed out with 1 lap to go around Monaco. It's such a cruel twist of fate.
Well, thankfully, the same fate hasn't happened to this man, Mark Alberts. It's not a Ghost Speed 1-2, but it is going to be a Ghost Speed victory on the streets of Monte Carlo. Mark Alberts fires it out the final corner, and he claims victory in the World Trophy race at Monaco. Oh, it so could have been a 1-2, but Alberts will be looking behind thinking, where has Franz Schneider gone? And I'm sure he'll realise in a moment exactly what his fate was. 2nd place is going to go to Ben Tusting. And we lost some... No, we haven't lost anyone else. I just think that's Franz Schneider out there. Second place comes through to Ben Tusting, second in the championship.
Now
He
first.
Net first course, yep. Across the line he goes. And I think he'll be surprised if he found himself in second, since the Ghost Speeds were the faster cars, of course. And Carlos Martin spins in celebration with a podium. And a little bit opportunistic later on in the race, but he's done a good job there. I'm sure he can be happy with that. Jorik Beauchevet, after a great stop, was fourth, and then as the rest of the field will start to come through, there's not one. Well, this is quite close. We've got a battle of six. This is Klopp and Siggy, nose to tail out of the final corner, and I think Klopp is just going to have enough straight line speed to take it at the line. Yes, Klopp gets sixth. Siggy just misses out on seventh. Well, he nudges Klopp there just as probably just a friendly nudge, saying, well done. Oh, and this is quite close too. Francesconi and Perotti as well, even closer. And there's going to be side by side. Perotti got squirrely on the exit. Francesconi again holds on from Perotti, so it's not over until the final corner. But lots of last-lap battles going on there, and fantastic stuff. But looking through, that was an incredible finish, and fantastic stuff. So I guess really, now that we've got a few, pretty much everyone has now finished the race. Haven't seen any comments yet from Frank Schneider. I think he's probably speechless after that rather unfortunate twist in the story of his race here at Monaco. But yeah, looking back at it, you have to say Mark Alberts, unfortunately, he managed a clean race, a completely clean race, and got it to the end, whereas Alberts was so close but just couldn't get it at the end.
Yeah, it is completely unfortunate, but you know, these things happen. Schneider has to take a deep breath, look at what happened, and make sure it doesn't happen again. But here's a good question. Considering everything that we've seen today, who is your driver of the day?
Oh, that's a tough one. Let's have a think. It's actually quite a difficult one, I think. Well, Mark Alberts has undoubtedly put in a fantastic drive today, and he is obviously a rather deserving winner. But I'm actually going to probably go ahead and say I'm going to give it to Carlos Martin. I think that's a very well-deserved third place for him, and it'll be a good boost for positive sim racing too. So they'll be very happy with that. So as much as Albert's drive was good, and also Ben Tusting, while he was there or thereabouts, he did kind of inherit second place. Nothing taken away from his run. It was. I'm going to give it to Carlos Martin personally. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. It's tough. Tusting did a good job to get from sixth into second. Where did Carlos Martin qualify? Carlos Martin was in eighth for qualification. So to get onto the podium, you know, I agree that was a great drive. Beaucheve, he was second on the second on the grid. If it wasn't for what happened when he gave the positions to Schneider and Alberts, possibly would have been Beaucheve, but I kind of agree with you. I think Carlos Martin, great drive to get into third place. Tusting did very well as well. It's kind of hard to call between those two for me, but again, you can't really take it away from Alberts either for taking the lead. There's so many good drives today, actually.
It was, and all the guys that actually managed to get it to the finish, very well deserving of getting it through there. We've had 17 cars make the finish out of the 26 that start. And let's run you through then the final classification of this afternoon's World Trophy event then. So the winner, Mark Alberts, the Go Speed Racing, and he wins with a race time of 1 hour 16 minutes and 28.603 seconds. From Ben Tusting in second place with Haxball, who passed the twist of the team, so he now, we think, has got the net championship lead. Carlos Martin, as he said, from 8th on the grid, and our driver of the day for both of us. 8th to 3rd, fantastic drive for the young Spaniard. Jorik Beauchevet, after his fantastic start off the line, to grab 4th. Giordano Valeriano, a Busted GP, will be very happy with that, for him to score a 5th place. Renz Klopp just held off Kevin Siggy in the first two last second races to the line, with Klopp 6th and Siggy 7th. And then it was Francesconi just keeping Alessandro Perotti at bay for 8th and 9th. Miguel Valiant is the man who rounds out the top 10. Pretty sure he started quite a way out of the outside the top 10 in qualifying, so that's another strong drive for him too. Jonathan Holmes in the second Butto racing car was in 11th. And in fact, he started from the pit lane. In fact, I forgot about that completely because he did start from the pit lane. He was about to think he was due to start about 13th or 14th. So to finish 10th from the pit lane. That's fantastic. That's a great drive to score a top 10 finish. Jonathan Holmes in the second Alberto Calma was 11th. Canabasol was 12th for a night international. The second positive sim racing car, the main positive sim racing car of Carlos Lopez, is 13th. Fran Schneider, he was minutes away from completing a fantastic 1-2 finish for Go Speed. He retires on the penultimate lap. He was so close, but he's lacked enough people to still be classified 14th at the end. Like Deku, who retired on the same lap, and he had an engine failure, which unfortunately prevented him seeing the flag. He's classified 15th. Jackson Wentz is 16th for PJG, and then we've got Alessio Campos, who had quite an eventful afternoon in a couple of occasions. The Crown 7 Netrex 17th. Edouard Corre is 18th in the second night racing car. 19th is Nick Fisher, and we've got Marshall Thomas, Balash Galyar, and then Artemis Lamajan, Attila Zek, Daniel Kiss, and Milan Radovojevic, who retired after just 3 laps. And that is the 26 cars as they were classified for this afternoon's World Trophy race. And I guess for the moment, at least, for today, that is it for the World Trophy broadcast. Not the end of our running today, because we still do have the World Championship main event later on, which will give you more information in a moment. But just to summarise then, Lewis, after today's race, as you said, a lot of great drives today throughout the field, and managed to get more than half the field finish, which is fantastic. But what are the main points that you're taking away from Monaco today?
Main point to take away from this is tyre strategy is completely crucial. Some drivers need to work on where to overtake and where not to overtake. Some drivers don't and overtake perfectly around Monaco, which is no small task. And really, when it comes to championship standings, if Zipperly was here, we're not sure what would happen, but it looks like we could have an interesting championship duel. 2 races, from the World Series and the World Trophy, the championship lead has changed. Can we see the same thing in the World Championship?
Well, it's going to be hard pressed, and the World Championship is later on this afternoon. It's going to be, if you're watching anywhere in Europe, it is going to be, the race qualifying is at 4:15 GMT or 5:15 UK time, and the race is at 5 o'clock GMT or 6 o'clock UK time. The big news is that after his absence in China, after watching football in Barcelona, Bono Huis is back. He is confirmed to be here in Monaco, and it's going to be him and Morgan Morand going wheel to wheel around the streets of Monte Carlo once again. Of course, the likes of Jack Keithley and, of course, Twister Cars are going to be in there too, and Ivar Calamays will also be throwing himself into the mix as well. And of course, we're not quite sure exactly who's going to be taking the second GT Omega car after John X Saxon's retirement from R Factor, at least. And that's going to be quite the intriguing story. I haven't seen anything confirmed. We think it's going to be Martin Gosby. But apparently it is Martin Gosby that's going to be driving that car. So whether or not we'll see any of the same giving up of positions like we saw in China, I hope not, but we'll have to wait and see. So remember, tune in at 4:15 GMT or 5:15 UK time for myself, commentating alongside Nick Rowland, who will be doing lead comms. And that is pretty much it for the moment from Monaco. So for myself, Scott Woodwis, and my co-commentator, Lewis McGlade. Lewis, it's been a pleasure once again, and we'll catch you, absolutely, and we'll catch you next time, or catch you next time later on for the World Championship. But until then, bye for now.
Bye-bye.